think we're live. I think we're live. Hey everyone, Gale Network here, and welcome to PGN Live. Allow me to have a moment to set up the stream, make sure it looks good on my end. I think we're live. I think we're live. Okay, I can hear myself coming in, so I know we're good. Well, welcome to the stream. I don't know if anybody is here just yet. Usually takes a moment for that to happen. But in case you're here, I hope you're having a good day. Here's to a good weekend. We've got some things to talk about. Some good, some maybe not the best, but I wouldn't say that there's anything bad. But there are some things to go over out of Gamescom, including some impressions on upcoming titles for Nintendo Switch 2 that some folks are going to definitely be looking forward to, especially if you skipped out on those respective releases on, other platforms, and should you be concerned or not. Let's see. Michael Gutmann, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'll give a moment for some other people to pop into the chat as I just went live 81 seconds ago. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit today about Gamescom, some of the titles with the hands-on impressions that people have been, sharing online, including Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which is the same demo that I experienced at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience in Los Angeles like 4 months ago at this point. And Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade and Elden Ring. It looks like most people overall are happy with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I mean, I could have told you that, and I did, that game ran so well back in April, and whether I was playing with dual analog, which is what I've become used to for the last 20 plus years, a little bit of motion controlled aiming, also something that I've been used to for quite a while. Hi Diabolic Native, welcome. Or mouse controls, which I've had a mouse, I've had a keyboard and that kind of thing for longer than dual analog or motion controls, but for sitting and playing a first-person shooter on the couch, I'm not as well versed with mouse controls because that's a very PC thing, typically. But Metro Prime 4 ran really well back at the April event, and most people online right now are experiencing and saying something quite similar. Some don't like the mouse mode, but almost nobody is not liking the game itself. Now, the demo is a very limited slice of what to expect from the overall game, right? We're set into a high action impact oriented environment, lots of dialogue, enemies, good guy troops, everybody talking. Metroid's typically a little bit more quiet of an experience, right? But I'm sure the game will have its solitude, its moments of isolation where you really feel like, dang, I'm alone on this planet, which a lot of people like from the Metroid series. And it will probably have some good story mode segments with voice acting from other people. But Metroid games are kind of, I don't want to say more often than not, but often enough kick off with like a big action sequence, and there is more going on. Like Metroid Prime 3 had a similar opening where there are, is communication with other people. Anyways, we'll get into that in a little bit. More people are here. Freddie Mercury, hello from Greece. Hello. Nice seeing you. Matthew Sally, salutations. Gaming Observed. Yes, so I guess you left before I answered this question yesterday, but I saw that you typed it like 3 or 4 times in the chat. And I did respond like each time, But I think you left. But yes, I do like the Tales series. I haven't played all of the Tales of games. The one that I put the most amount of time into was Tales of Symphonia back on the Nintendo GameCube. I've played some others since then, but I'm not super well versed in it. But I do dabble in some of them here and there. But overall, it's cool, and I look forward to the next Tales game, like when it gets shown off. So yeah. But thank you, Gaming Observed, for asking, and uh, I guess since you left before I answered yesterday, thanks for asking again today and being here. Michael Gutmann, you've got thoughts on the Gamescom demo. One of them is Metro Prime 4 Beyond. Maybe they are having trouble getting 120 frames per second docked since the VRR isn't working in docked mode. Okay, I'll get to that in a moment. And then also, you think they should forget the Joy-Cons being a mouse and just let us plug in a real mouse. The only thing I've used them for so far is drag and drive. So on the topic of that 120 frames per second mode, maybe on docked it's not getting in that 120R VRR, but the frames per second still at 120. That's still in there. That's not limited. Now, would it be more ideal if the 120 variable refresh rate is also in effect, allowing the frames to be better maximized, especially if it is operating at 120 frames per second? Yes, but it could still be running at 120 frames per second without the VRR support. I experienced a very fluid, smooth game when I played Metro Prime 4 Beyond in April. And like I said, most people are coming out of Gamescom being very positive on the experience as well. And it might be a personal thing of, I don't like the mouse control modes, not used to it, or I want more of an isolated experience than an action set piece with a bunch of people talking. But, some Metro games do kick off with talking and other characters that you are conversing with and stuff like that. So, not totally uncommon. And then again, it wouldn't. Okay, I don't think this is going to happen, but even if Metroid Prime 4 Beyond went in a very different direction and they are talking nonstop throughout the game, you're getting voice acting left and right, big story pieces, other NPCs engaging with Samus, and it's a very different experience, It's something more comparable to Halo or Call of Duty or another game that has just a lot of talking, including hearing Samus speak frequently. If it was all of a very high quality, it wouldn't make it a bad game. It wouldn't make it a bad Metroid game. It would just make it what some people don't want out of a Metroid game, because they like a Metroid game because it is different, because it doesn't hold your hand. You just plop into the world and you figure it out. It's very raw. Could you change up the design too much to turn off some people? Possibly. But could you attract so many more people if you go at the game with a different approach? Also, maybe the happy medium is you integrate some bigger pieces throughout, so you satisfy a different audience that you have not been able to fully capture before. But for the most part, the game is tried and true. This isolated experience that people like. But how many people like it? Evidently, only a few million people per title, because the game's never cracked 5 million. There is no Metroid that has sold 13 million, right? I would love for this one to hit 7 and beyond, but we'll see. Or you satisfy it by those in-game purchases. Could the in-game purchases just be that you could upgrade the game from Nintendo Switch to Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, and that's the in-game purchase? Or are we talking about this game has an online multiplayer mode that is season-based, like Splatoon or Fortnite, and it's always updating, and you could buy armor, for visual effect. You can buy different classic Metroid Samus Aran skins that aren't ones that you just unlock by default playing. You buy other stages to play in. You buy a season pass that just gives you the access to then receive gifts, kind of like a Fortnite style, like I said. We don't know, but the ESRB coming out with a T rating, blood, animated violence, right? And some in-game purchases. It does make you wonder, what are those in-game purchases? But it also tells me the game is coming out soon. Now, soon, I think, is September through December. I did put up a poll on X, and it was so amazing how it was almost equal 25, 25, 25, 25. It wasn't. It was like 23, 28, 26, 21, something like that. I could pull it up, or if you go to my X, you'll see for yourself. But a few hundred people voted, and it was very split. Michael Gutmann, you think they should forget the Joy-Con? Okay, so that was the one I read to and I was going to address next. I think the mouse controls work fine. I've used the mouse quite a bit playing / navigating around Welcome Tour. And I like Welcome Tour quite a bit. They give you a good several hours of gameplay, fun, little demos, mini games, things like that. Just cool, quirky things to experience for $9.50. It was worth it. And Dragon Drive, of course, a little bit of Mario Paint. And then, though I don't own it, at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, as well as Metro Prime 4 Beyond. So, yeah, I experienced a decent amount of mouse mode. And in Donkey Kong Bonanza, when I was player 2 to my kids being Donkey Kong player 1 and me controlling the on-screen motion of Pauline's yells and stuff like that. I think it worked out just fine. So I think it's cool that the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Con can double up as a mouse. Maybe people will need like a third-party manufacturer or it's just somebody on Etsy that is producing a 3D printed shell that you wrap around the Joy-Con to, so it's a little bit more ergonomic in your hand. Gives it some easier button pressing. Maybe that'll happen. I mean, it already has happened, but maybe that's what somebody needs to buy. We'll see. Sean Black, hi, welcome. Michael Gutmann, excited for Silk Song and Witchbrook. Yeah. Silk Song, I mean, that one is coming in less than 2 weeks. Witchbrook, when is that release date? I don't recall off the top of my head. Jack, F123, hi. Gaming Observed, nice, yes, you were busy yesterday. The go to the Tales series is Arie. Cool. Or Arise, yeah. You shot a new video on the new Resident Evil Requiem, nice. Did you go to Germany? Are you at Gamescom right now? That's pretty cool if you are. Unless if you're just making footage of the game and your impressions of other people's video footage. That's still cool too. LOL, I make a 3D printed mouse adapter on Etsy. There you go. Well, there you go. So the same problem that you are saying you have with the Joy-Con, you already are someone who is a part of the solution, right? That's funny. But yeah. Gamescom is giving us some interesting stuff. More positive than negative, like I said. The Metroid thing, we're okay on. The next thing that we're okay on is Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. Now, I played FF7 for the most part on my PS5. You know, that's like the PS4 version operating at a PS4 Pro capacity, and then bumped up on PS5 levels. I'll get back to Final Fantasy in a bit. Matthew Sally. From this point forward, I think DK will split into a 2D series and a 3D series like Zelda has. Those retro side-scrolling areas of Bonanza were the best part of the game to me. Dang, they were so much fun. I could have gone for more. There were like 5 or something like that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. Well, there were more than 5 total, but maybe like 4 or 5 classic ones. And overall, you know, perhaps there were, I don't know, less than a dozen. Then again, I don't have every banana in the game, so there could be some stuff here and there that I'm missing. But yeah, just amazing music, beautiful visuals. Sign me up for a brand new, once in a while, 2D Donkey Kong Country type game that's a platformer, 2 players at once, cooperative experience, kind of like, you know, the next evolution to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And, you know, give us a beautiful 60 level experience, 6 different main areas, 10 different levels each to explore, something along those lines. And oh dang, I'm set. And then, you know, once in a while give us a new 3D experience. And punching and smashing through the stage doesn't have to be all what Donkey Kong is going forward, but it could be a part of it. But Nintendo could definitely operate differently from Mario 2D and 3D to Donkey Kong 2D and 3D and have both completely succeed, as they can with Kirby and to an extent Yoshi. You know, Yoshi is the one that doesn't really have his own big 3D platforming adventure, but he's had some successful 2D ones. But you've got those 4 right there: Mario, Donkey Kong, Kirby, and Yoshi, that could have their own 2D side-scrolling and 3D platforming action-adventure kind of experiences. Maybe Yoshi doesn't need to have his own. I would play it. I would buy it. I like Yoshi. I like Yoshi as the character, you know? And I think it would be cool to see Yoshi in his own 3D game. I'm sure there's a lot that you could do with it. I say bring Kid Icarus back. If you're not going to go give us a new Kid Icarus game yet, have Shiver or somebody else do a full-on remaster of Kid Icarus Uprising. Take that 3DS game, throw it in 16:9, blast it up to 1080p on Nintendo Switch, 4K on Nintendo Switch 2. Give it the remastered treatment of like Metroid Prime 4, or Metroid Prime Remastered, I should say. So it's not just throw it in HD, but like doing some retexturing, some working around there, make sure that the controls are modern, and people will see in greater capacity just how good that game is, thanks to the install base being so much bigger on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 than on, you know, just 3DS. Gaming Observed, you wish you had the money to travel to Gamescom? Haha, maybe one day. Yeah, that's a trip right there. That's not a cheap thing. You played Rebirth on your PC, amazing. Yeah, I didn't play it on PC, but like I said, on PlayStation 5, I played it and enjoyed it a lot. So it's a really good game. David Patterson, hello, welcome, good afternoon. Matthew Sally, Donkey Kong Country, Tundra Melt. Yeah. Which is better, Zelda Breath of the Wild 1 or 2? Is the question, what's better, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom? Let me know if that was the question, or something else. Pro Meme 12, I remember during the Switch 2 Direct, my bingo card had Kirby in Mario Kart. I got Kirby Air Riders. I'm satisfied. Yeah, that's cool. Like, not quite Kirby in Mario Kart, but you got a full on Kirby racing game. Even though Kirby Air Riders is much more than just a racing game. Yeah, at the core, it's a racing game. So that's pretty cool. Well, good. I'm glad that that satisfied you. And it comes out in less than 3 months, right? Yeah, November 20th. So just a couple days shy of 3 months. I think that's going to be a solid seller for Nintendo. I'm looking forward to it. Hmm. I was just lost in thought. Thinking about the water physics always get me. And in particular, when Kirby is going through the two sides of water split in the ocean, that looked so beautiful. That whole stage was so fresh looking that I really want to play in it more, you know, uh, and experience more of the other stages because it doesn't look like there are a whole lot of these racing stages. I counted maybe 6. There could be more. More might come eventually. But yeah, very different looking game than Mario Kart, you know, despite being kind of, cartoony characters overall, just a different approach. Oh, you played Breath of the Wild and Here's Wish 2. I like more. So Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time. It topped Ocarina of Time and it took that place in 2018 after I kind of was playing it for a year and really thinking, does it deserve to take the mantle? And then finally, yes. And then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and in some ways, it tops Breath of the Wild. The graphics are a little bit better. It's bigger because you've got the sky to navigate, which is really cool. You got the depth to navigate, which is pretty neat. And you have a lot of the same surface elements, but different mechanics. A little bit more in terms of cutscenes, kind of, and some voice acting, yeah. But there's still a gameplay difference that Breath of the Wild has that, though it doesn't have as much, some of it is a little bit better. I like the variety of arrow attaching that Tears of the Kingdom has, but I kind of like the quick accessibility that Breath of the Wild gave. Though I appreciate the ability to combine things together, I like the element of stasis and freezing things in time and building up inertia in them in Breath of the Wild. I like the variety in bombs. In Tears of the Kingdom, I kind of wish that there was another way how to go through a Rolodex option of selecting things a little bit differently, which does bring me back to Breath of the Wild having a little bit of a different approach to bombs, more simple. I like that you could make any kind of vehicle in Tears of the Kingdom, but thanks to the DLC of Breath of the Wild, traveling through the world in the Master Cycle was so fun, and nothing really topped the motorcycle effect. Now you could say, but that's thanks to DLC, that wasn't native. But at the end of the day, that was a part of it. You could quickly fly in Breath of the Wild, thanks to Rivali's Gale. And in Tears of the Kingdom, you have options to fly. You could, attach, rocket shield, go up high, but it's not as quick and fast. You have your on-screen presence, which is cool, of the spirits of the champions in Tears of the Kingdom, and there are more of them. But in Breath of the Wild, there's something very satisfying about Daruk's protection. You know, mm. Urbosa's Fury. I just enjoyed them, and from a combat perspective, maybe I enjoyed it a little bit more than you know mm, some of the Tears of the Kingdom elements. But and I gave both games a 10, by the way. I did, when I reviewed them, and I think Tears of the Kingdom had a cooler final boss fight in Ganondorf over Calamity Ganon, and they both had some different segments to it. Mm. Different cool moments with Master Sword. So they're both really good, but there are certain things that I give a little bit of an edge to Breath of the Wild, even though Tears of the Kingdom does more and does some things better. But the also undisputable advantage that I give to Breath of the Wild is cultural impact, pure shock factor. How much did it do different? What did it do that revitalized the franchise, that brought it to new heights, that was not ever done before, that totally shook up the industry? Some of these things, it really goes to Breath of the Wild. And, that's not to discredit Tears of the Kingdom in any way, but it was reliant on Breath of the Wild to get it there. But still, if you take that away of impact factor, which Breath of the Wild has, and you just say game versus game, which do I like more? I still would give it to Breath of the Wild by a bit. But Tears of the Kingdom is still terrific. Anyways, that was a long conversation on that, but yeah, I love them both. Oh, from David Patterson. Hey, Paul, I read up yesterday that there is a new He-Man beat 'em up. Yeah, I saw that. Coming on all platforms. Looks pretty sweet, and it will be on Nintendo Switch as well. Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty neat. That's not an IP that is like super vibrant in the world today. Like Ninja Turtles is still strong. Power Rangers is still strong. Marvel, X-Men, like these things are still strong. Batman. So getting He-Man out of nowhere, like, that's unexpected. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Breath of the Wild is the GOAT when you consider it used to be just a top-down game. Yeah. From how far The Legend of Zelda has come, being, a 1986 top-down 8-bit Famicom NES title to now. Now, of course, it took many steps to get there, but that's impressive. Zelda as a franchise, very impressive. And from how they started making Breath of the Wild as like let's experiment in this 8-bit style to achieve the philosophy behind the game design before we put in a lot of assets into building polygon models and all that stuff. That's pretty cool. See the behind the scenes. David, you ask, also, Paul, do you think on the next Zelda that will be created or a remake, will they bring back Demise from Skyward Sword? He was a great villain and antagonist in the game. I don't know if they'll bring back Demise, but it would be neat. I don't think that there will ever be something that it's like, oh, this is absolutely one and done. We'll never get back to this character, this gameplay mechanic, etc. ever again. I don't think that's the case, So I don't know if they will bring him back in the next entry or if they ever will, but I could see one day them doing it. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind, like, maybe Ganondorf getting too cocky, too arrogant, dabbling with time, thinking he could just go back to the past to have Demise work for him or something like that, and it backfiring, and then Demise taking over. and Ganondorf channeling some other method to then fight Demise, and there being some power struggle, and we're seeing this unfold in some heavy story based Zelda game with this clash of villains, and that would be pretty sweet. You consider DLC the main game still. The dragons were amazing to fight. Yeah. You remember He-Man? That is crazy about Thundercats. Yeah, Thundercats is another one. You feel Demise's aura is flowing through Ganon. Yeah, especially with... I mean, we even thought in that Tears of the Kingdom footage that, like, oh, shoot, is this Demise? Because, like, the red flowing hair and all that. Like, oh, man. Boo Mini, welcome. Good to see you here. And now we're caught up. I think we're caught up live. Good. The last thing that we were talking about, by the way, now that I'm caught up to chat, before I started getting into questions, was, yeah, what are people saying at Gamescom about other games? Metroid Prime 4, good, running solid and all that stuff. Nintendo still isn't giving us a playable 4K 60 frames per second hands-on time with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. It's just been 120 frames per second, 1080p. When I play the game at home, I'm probably going to go 4K 60. And yeah, people are liking Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. I think for anyone who owns a Nintendo Switch 2, who likes Zelda, Astral Chain, Bayonetta, Xenoblade Chronicles, likes swords, magic, cool looking characters, a nice cast, nice graphics, nice environment, good music, nice ambiance, enjoys action, RPG, adventure, that's quite a bit of people. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade on Nintendo Switch 2 will be for you. If you've never played it before, this is going to be something that satisfies you if you like that Zelda, if you like that Xenoblade, if you like these type of games, the Fire Emblems out there and stuff like that. And if you already know you like Final Fantasy, then cool. But some people, this might be their first entry, you know, and it's a good place to start. Boo Mini, which Zelda game was your favorite in terms of story? Oh, geez. I really, really loved The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time in every facet that you could imagine. From start to finish, I was enthralled with the game. I was Link. I was 15 years old when that game came out, and you know, young Link was 10, adult Link was 17. So I was, you know, looking up to grown-up Link as like, dang, this is like me, kind of, you know what I mean? And the Kokiri Forest, leaving your friends behind, meeting Zelda, traveling through the future, going back and forth between the past and the future, Kakariko Village, all the different things of it. Like, overall, I loved it. However, the storytelling got better and better in time. More text, more finesse, more intricate lines of dialogue. Wind Waker, you know, spoiler, had a couple of really cool things in it, and that was a great story too. Twilight Princess, I really enjoyed that story, and I enjoyed Midna so much as a character, and that one ended on heartbreak. That one ended in like a tearjerker. That was sweet. I think Skyward Sword might have my favorite interaction between Zelda and Link, because I felt like, oh, there's a love between these two, and I really respected that a lot, and I thought it was a good first entry point in the series. Is it still the first with Tears of the Kingdom and that kind of stuff? Maybe, I don't know. Breath of the Wild, I love it as well. I liked the Zelda struggle the pressure on her. The cinema scenes made it more cool, more fun visiting Daruk, going to these tribes, getting the personality out of these characters, having the backstory on the Yiga clan and all this stuff, and Tears of the Kingdom, furthered that, reading Zelda's diary. Gosh, there's a lot. I know you asked me what's my favorite. That's hard to answer, but in some ways, elements of Skyward Sword had some of my favorite story parts that it's one of my favorites. It's probably still my favorite Zelda Link dynamic. Yeah, I don't know. Good question. Hi again, Pokemon Fan 34. Paul had said before you came on that Breath of the Wild is his goat. Yeah, that is my overall goat. Michael Gutmann, Elden Ring running below 30 in handheld isn't making me worried. The game hasn't been optimized yet, and the demos have been made months in advance, so this is an old build of the game. Yeah, that was the next game I was going to talk about. That's the only thing that is making some negative publicity around the internet on Nintendo Switch 2 at Gamescom, and that is that Elden Ring in docked mode is running just fine on TV, no complaints. In portable mode is having some notable frame rate dips. One, that demo is not up to date with it was made yesterday and this is how far we are. It is a few months old. We don't know a few or several, but some months ago to make that demo. Two, the game's not coming out in a week where, it only got a couple of months better than that because the game is finished as of 3 weeks ago, and now they're just printing them. The game's got some development time between whatever demo that was based off of from some months ago, in which case that might not have even necessarily been the most up-to-date level of the game, because simultaneously as they're creating this demo, this team is continuing with the port. So I believe that there still has been time, and time will continue to benefit the game's development cycle to release a quality product that operates well in both docked and portable modes. So I'm not too worried on Elden Ring. Maybe they will even offer, a graphics mode and a performance mode in the game itself, or if they don't, at the very least, I'm sure they're going to iron it out. Does it mean that it's going to be a flawless port? Probably not. But will it be better? Almost definitely so. Let's see. Some of you are saying hi to each other, which is nice. Integrated is important. It's the first part of the FF7 remake. The integrated means it comes with DLC. Yep, with a whole Yuffie segment. David, you're talking to each other. Actually, hang on one moment. Sorry about that, chat. Actually, I don't have to go. Oh, sorry. Where am I? Chat talking amongst each other. Nice. The PS5 runs it at 4K 60, so I should expect the Switch 2 to be able to run it at 1080p, 40 frames per second docked, and 1080p, 30 frames per second in handheld. I mean, that doesn't sound unreasonable. Yeah. J Biggs, Mr. NY for life. What's up? Friends coming in live now with our friends. Good. I'm good to see. Beat this game long ago. Love the story. Have to make my way over to the forest later to get the Master Sword. Nice. Okay, we're good. Oh, Peach is out there. Pokemon Fan 34. Boo Mini, I skipped your question. What was your question? Let's see. Let's see. Scrolling up. See you talking to someone. Halfway through, need to go back, continue playing. Oh, I see that one. Oh, okay. Rate the top 4 dungeons in Ocarina of Time from favorite to least favorite and why. I'd have to look at all the dungeons before me because off the top of my head, I'll do my best in thinking like, well, did I like this dungeon more because of the boss, or did I like it more because of the overall dungeon, or what? Like, The Fire Temple was awesome. Chris Lanzer, hello, welcome. Good to see you. Fire Temple was awesome. I love the Balerio of Fire in terms of the music getting there. Super cool. Volvagia, excellent boss. Temple itself, nice, good challenge, good environment, cool aesthetic. Big fan. Forest Temple, I liked meeting Sheik out there. It was very atmospheric. The whole painting thing with the ghosts, neat. Phantom Ganon, really fun. The Light Temple. Light Temples with Mirror Shield and Twin Rova. Excellent boss. Using fire and ice, ice and fire. Going really early, Deku Tree. Just total atmosphere being in this big tree. The mysticism from being outside and how majestic it was. The somber note in the ending. Jabu Jabu. Fun. Could be a little bit difficult. Yeah, Spirit Temple, not Light Temple. Thank you. Could be a little bit frustrating with like carrying Rito. Water Temple. Fun, but little challenging, a little tedious. Even though not a temple, like Graveyard, its own thing. Shadow Temple, its own thing. Volvagia might be the top, so Fire Temple may be the best. I don't know. I just really like Balerio of Fire. I like the temple. I like the ambiance. I like the Goron City. I love all of that stuff in there. Oh, but then you go Young Link and you have, Fire Dungeon with King Dodongo, iconic. But maybe Fire Temple. Possibly Spirit Temple. Forest Temple, Deku Tree, Great Deku Tree, maybe something like that. I don't know. Wonderful. Can't go wrong with any of them. Shadow Temple is a hard one. Michael Gutmann, have an opinion on all the Switch 2 games shown. What did I think of the Mario movie Gaming Observed? Fantastic. Absolutely loved it. And my experience in it couldn't have been any better. I went to the red carpet premiere of the movie, and then right after that I went to the VIP after party about a mile away, and I just had such a fun night. The movie itself was terrific, but how I saw it for the first time and what I got to experience on that first day was nothing short of forever memorable. Now, the movie itself, though, also just excellent. I loved it. Can't wait for Super Mario World, the movie. Boom Mini got to go back to work at 2. Don't work too hard. Haha. I hope to see you later, Boom Mini. maybe on my stream during the podcast, or maybe on Mike's stream portion of the podcast. But whatever. Regardless, see you later. You just gave your Elden Ring opinion. Mm-hmm. Okay, David's asking Yakuza 0, Director's Cut stuff from Michael Gutman. Spirit Temple music is the best. Umini. Fire Temple music is also a favorite. Yeah. Why is talking about video games more fun than playing? I guess we all enjoy video games for so many things, like, the music, the graphics, the gameplay, the sound, the boom, boom, boom. It's why you choose to play a game instead of watching a TV show, watching a movie. More engagement. Yet sometimes you don't want to engage, you just want to be fed some info. So sometimes you might be in the mood for entertainment via TV show, cartoon, anime, movie, right? But if you're in the mood for gaming and you want to talk about, listen to the cool stuff of the video game industry, so you want the gaming experience, but you want it to be the passive fun that comes from TV, anime, movie, pro wrestling, sporting event, whatever. That's what we're doing now, and that's what kind of makes this kind of attractive. Yeah. So sometimes talking about games can be more fun, or sometimes it's just what you're in the mood for. I'm going to wrap it up soon, by the way. It's a little bit of a shorter stream than the last few. Actually, we're already at almost 50 minutes, so not like a short stream, but shorter. Okay. You're talking amongst each others. Yeah, streaming later. Yeah, I'll be streaming later. I'm going to be on Mike Odyssey's podcast, and that's at 5:30 Pacific time, so in 3 hours and 28 minutes, I'll be on that stream, podcast. But yeah, and there's usually 4 of us, N64 Josh, Joyce J, Mike Odyssey, who is the host, and me, sometimes like a guest or something. I guess that's it. Okay. Unless if there's a super chat, gifted sub, or a sub to extend the stream, I think that's it. Because I'm wrapping up now. And this was fun. We got to go over, even in a shorter time, because lately we've been, topping an hour each day. And this one evidently will end at like 50 minutes or something like that. We got to go over Gamescom and what people are saying from the event. They're having a good time playing Metroid. Overall positive experience on Elden Ring, just in the docked mode and not so much the portable mode, but there's time for that. Don't worry, in my opinion. And having a good time in Final Fantasy VII. And of course, in Silksong. Hollow Knight's sequel, many years in development. That will be coming out on September 4th. So that's pretty exciting. Meanwhile, we have a good 9 days left in August. Could we get a Nintendo Direct suddenly, like next week? Maybe, but I'm not expecting it. I'm expecting between September 3rd and September 17th. And that would be either a Nintendo Direct Grand or Super Mario Bros. 40th Anniversary Direct. One or the other. If not one that has everything. I think we could get both. I'm hopeful for both. But yeah. I guess that's it for now. I hope you all have a good rest of the day. Gaming Observed, see you later. Have a good night. And everybody, thanks for, I see the likes have gone up. Thanks for hitting that like button. I appreciate it. Thanks for being around for the last 50 minutes. Hopefully you've had a good time watching, whether you came in from the very beginning or popped up later. I get that if you didn't show up till like 20 minutes ago, then it was a very short stream by most content creator standards. But if you've been here for the full 50, Hey, I think we had a good time talking. Hope you did. I had fun. Any last question? The Final Fantasy was playing at 4K 60. That's awesome. See you tonight. David, see you. Michael Gutmann, see y'all. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you again for being here. And we'll have some more gaming stuff to go over tonight and probably into the weekend. And next week, I'll be back on. I still have yet to come up with like a definitive schedule, but I will sooner than later is my intention, because we've been kind of crushing it lately with great discussions and it's been a blast. So I would like to continue that and eventually get into like the whole workout one, you know? Like that's the intent, to keep these varied. So we have some gaming discussions, some general stuff, some sales stuff, and the workout stuff, the karate stuff, because it looks